Hello everyone, with the recent release of the Rebel Moon Director's Cut, I decided to go over my top 10 favorite Zack Snyder films. Zack Snyder is a filmmaker that I greatly admire. He inspired me as a filmmaker, and you know what? His films are not for everyone. Love him or hate him, you cannot deny that his films are unique. Every one of his films is different from the other. 300 is different from Dawn of the Dead, it's different from Sucker Punch, which is different from Legends of the Guardian, which is different from Rebel Moon. And he has a certain style and a certain grand scale and epicness he brings. It's almost like splash pages of a comic book he brings with each and every frame. So before I continue, feel free to share your favorite Zack Snyder film down in the comments below. Everybody, be respectful out there. If I have any more people go and try to harass my subscribers or people in the comments, if you're a Snyder hater, what are you doing watching this video? And if you do go around acting like an ass, you're gonna get blocked. Starting the list at number 10 is Sucker Punch. This is a film that's very much a dark film that's a little bit style over substance, but I love seeing this character of Baby Doll and what she has to go through. You know, it's pretty much a person being lobotomized the entire movie and having to escape this mental asylum, and through their dark predicament create this world through their imagination. There's a very powerful story here about the power of the human mind and imagination, and it's a very dark tale. Carla Gugino's great in this, Jenna Malone, Oscar Isaac, Scott Glenn. I love the scene with the samurai warriors where it has Bjork's Army of Me. I love the version of Army of Me in this film, the soundtrack. I remember the trailer of this that had Panic Switch by Silver Sun Pickups. While it's not like my most favorite Zack Snyder film, it is a very ambitious film that I greatly respect. After that would be the Rebel Moon Director's Cuts. Now this would be the R-rated versions on both Chalice of Blood and Curse of Forgiveness, originally Child of Fire and Scargiver. Rebel Moon was something I was really looking forward to as a Star Wars fan, hearing that this was like a version of Star Wars, but it has elements of like Gears of War, Warhammer, kind of steampunk stuff, heavy metal, especially like heavy metal comics and like the movie Heavy Metal from the 80s. It totally has those elements blended with Seven Samurai, Star Wars, and other things like that. And this is a pure sci-fi epic. I love the story of Korra here. I love seeing the Imperium. They're evil. This is not for the faint of heart. This is a dark film. And I like seeing this band of rebels. I would have loved to see certain characters explored a bit more, but the action was on a grand scale. And we'll have to see what happens. I hope that we get to see a conclusion with Belisarius and Korra meeting face to face, but overall this was a movie that has some great world building in it. But was it among my favorite Zack Snyder films? No, this is one of his weaker entries, but like Sucker Punch, it's a very ambitious one. After that is Legends of the Guardians. This is actually a kind of a dark film, but it's a family film from Zack Snyder based on a novel, and I love the visuals here. He delves into the world of animation, which is a no-brainer with his art background and the way he frames his movies. It's perfect for this sort of story. Beautiful animation, beautiful story, and just epic all around. It shows you that, yeah, he can bring those visuals and his flair to a children's film. And this, in my opinion, is one of his more underrated entries in his filmography. Next up is BVS Dawn of Justice. Of course, this is the Ultimate Edition. I love BVS Dawn of Justice, a very dark successor to Man of Steel. Ben Affleck is as comic book as it gets, bringing Frank Miller's Dark Knight to life. Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman, and then of course Henry Cavill as Superman. This shows you what it's like seeing a Superman in the 21st century, and if a Superman actually existed in our world, how would people treat him? You know, he brings that deconstruction from like Watchmen before the reconstruction that will be Justice League, and it definitely is darkest before the dawn, and I absolutely enjoy this film from him. He has a lot of his staples from his previous films like Watchmen and 300 and Man of Steel rolled into this one. And this is from writer Chris Terrio. Lex, he's a bit overboard. He's like Willy Wonka on crack, but I like the story of this film and the ideologies between Batman and Bruce Wayne. Like, as much as I enjoy the last Doomsday fight, I feel like you could have just had the two ideologies. This film gets a bad rap. I have enjoyed this film since the beginning, even the theatrical, but the Ultimate Edition is where it's at, making Batman the villain and Clark Kent the hero, the main protagonist. You get to see more of his journalistic side and Superman, and how he ultimately, through his sacrifice, brings hope to not only society, but also Wonder Woman and Batman, who's a very broken character in this film. I really dig BVS. Next up is Army of the Dead. This film is almost like John Carpenter's Ghost of Mars. I love how this starts off with like this accident happening and something from Area 51 escaping and this virus apocalypse starting in Las Vegas and being contained. Dave Bautista, Ana de la Reguera. Some great cast in this. Ella Purnell is in this from Fallout. She plays Dave Bautista's daughter. There's so many action set pieces, some emotional moments, and overall this film looks much grander than it does for its budget. And this is a nice throwback to what Zack Snyder does best with zombies and then giant action set pieces. This is a very underrated film from his filmography. After that would be Dawn of the Dead. Now this is a remake, and this is the first film that I saw with my brother on Stars that was Zack Snyder's like first film. That was my introduction to Zack Snyder. And yeah, it kind of took away some of the satire of the George Romero film, but it brought us a new modernization of that story. James Gunn actually wrote the script to this. And I like the cast. I love the cinema style. And he has zombies that freaking ran. That is scary. This is just a nice, small film that has so many great, horrific moments. I mean, that scene with the baby still disturbs me to this day. Seeing Ving Rhames in this, Ty Burrell. Man, there's so many actors in this film. And I just love seeing these group of people kind of have to come together and fend off all these zombies. I mean, you can't get any better than this. If you want a zombie survival film, watch Dawn of the Dead, the original, and definitely watch the remake. One of the better remakes out there that on its own stands pretty well. After that is 300. Tonight we dine in hell. This is Sparta. This was cool, you know. We just had Sin City with Robert Rodriguez bring the Sin City comic to life, and Zack Snyder brought Frank Miller's 300 to life. It's like the panels came to life, and I absolutely love this with the Battle of Thermopylae, seeing these Spartans, Gerard Butler, Lena Headey. It has some great action set pieces, some great slow-mo, some heavy-hitting scenes, and this is just one kick-ass movie. I remember seeing this in theaters and being completely wowed. And it's no wonder that Zack Snyder did Watchmen after this, because it's just like he brought that comic to life. And in an age where we didn't have so many comic book movies or adaptations, it was great seeing this, especially right after History of Violence and Road to Perdition. On some of the more adult stuff, seeing this brought to life and seeing this piece of history presented in this way was just nothing short of epic. After that is Man of Steel. This movie I absolutely adore. This is just an awesome 21st century retelling. Christopher Nolan and David S. Goyer helping with the script with Zack Snyder's direction. It's crazy because when I saw Watchmen and seeing Dan Dreiberg, Patrick Wilson's character, I thought, man, he reminds me of Clark Kent and Batman with his alter ego of Night Owl and Dan Dreiberg. And it made me wonder one day of like, what if Zack Snyder did a Batman or Superman movie? And now we're here, he did it. And it was so great seeing this retelling of an alien invasion story with a modern Superman, seeing General Zod played by Michael Shannon, Jor-El, that whole opening and Krypton is just amazing. You can watch Movie Minders and we did a movie commentary of Man of Steel. Yeah, this movie is just an awesome, epic, hopeful film. And Hans Zimmer's score, what are you going to do when you're not saving the world? I love the ending. Amy Adams and Henry Cavill together as Lois and Clark was just great. Diane Lane, oh man, this movie is just a feel-good, action-packed Superman film from start to finish. After that is Zack Snyder's Justice League. The Snyder Cut is the most quintessential DC Comics film ever presented. I mean, this is like seeing the spirit and essence of DC Comics presented onto live action. Seeing these characters come together, Batman being the hero that we're more familiar with, seeing the resurrection of Superman, whole world without, and return of Superman, black and silver suit, the Justice League coming together, the heartfelt moments, seeing Steppenwolf, seeing Darkseid for the first time in live action, Martian Manhunter, seeing Jared Leto, Joker, and Batman meet face to face. It's just so great seeing the world stumble, fall, and join Superman and the Sun by the end of this. This is one of my favorite films of the past decade, and oh man, it's really almost one of my favorite Zack Snyder films. After that, at number one is Watchmen. I go between Zack Snyder's Justice League and Watchmen, but Watchmen was a film that just completely blew me away when I first saw it. I wanted to see a rated R superhero film, and I actually did not read the graphic novel when I saw this, but I actually had more respect for the film after reading the graphic novel, seeing what they did get right. Zack Snyder basically completed something that was once deemed unfilmable, and the story is great from Alan Moore and Dave Gibbons. I mean, seeing Rorschach played by Jackie Earle Haley. Jeffrey Dean Morgan is an evil bastard as comedian. You have Carla Gugino as the original Silk Spectre, and then her daughter, Laurie Jupiter, Malin Ackerman. And then you get Patrick Wilson as Dan Dryburgh / Night Owl. And then who could forget Billy Crudup as Dr. Manhattan. Matthew Goode as Ozymandias. This is so good seeing the comedian getting killed at the beginning and then Rorschach on this mission of who's hunting down the Watchmen, who's going to watch the Watchmen, and stumbling onto this conspiracy. This is a deconstruction of the superhero. And they do change the ending quite a bit, but I think for the film version this does work, and even the ultimate cut that has Tales of the Black Freighter added into it is a nice experience, and then even the extended cut with Hollis Mason's murder. And overall, I just love the kind of dark nature of this, of like, what if superheroes existed in our history, and here's this alternate 1984, like the graphic novel. And it was so cool seeing this story presented, and seeing a director finally use like the graphic novel comic book panels and just say, let's do that. And that's what he did with Watchmen. Those are my top 10 favorite Zack Snyder films. Also, the film he did with the iPhone was an underrated film as well. Let me know your favorite Zack Snyder film down in the comments below. Please be respectful. If you're not, you're going to get blocked. Stay safe and healthy, everyone. Till next time.